All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Couch23, joined on the microphone by Antidale and Bursic Badger in the background, clicking those buttons. What do we got in store tonight, Antidale?
Well, we've got a match with Sylverfyre, who's at 1-0, looking to go 2-0 and try and get on their road, maybe directly to the table. And baconpie looking for his first win, uh, looking for a little bit of pride, try and get off on some good momentum going into the hook group. They are definitely destined for. Um, and we've got some really good names on both sides, so that's exciting to have everyone. We've got Syl is going with some familiar names within the free enterprise community, and then looks like baconpie has a story to tell us. Uh, Couch, what are you thinking the story of the seed might be tonight?
I think the story of the seed is just like to push buttons.
That's a good
Uh,
story.
I know. But I have a feeling, is my Buzz Lightyear round? Yes, as a matter of fact, it is. We'll see if Cheddar gets pushy again. But in the meantime, I believe we have an edge start. But we're all just sitting on the character names at the current moment.
Yeah, we do have some objectives that our runners will have to complete 3 of the 4. As always in the Threemus Zone, we have to forge the Legend Sword. We have to have Cheddar as our co-commentator. We have to wake Yang with the pan, conquer the Vanilla White Spirit Altar, and launch the Falcon. But again, we only have to complete 3 of the 4 for the runners in order to get the crystal.
Yeah, and that's made for some very interesting racing these past week and a half, 2 weeks now. It's been super interesting having some really close races with wildly varying strats.
Yeah, that's been pretty much my favorite part of the flag set that was chosen for this, was the fact that runners don't have to do all the things that are possible in the seed, they just have to do most of them. And so we can maybe have someone go to a weird location, pick up the hook, and launch the Falcon. And it looks like baconpie is off. And that edge is joined by Tella, and we get a hook.
I have to say this is a pretty solid start. We got a hook, we got underground access like right off the bat, and edge and Tella. This is pretty much a dream team start right here.
Yeah, you're looking to maybe just immediately land the ship, go to Baron, take out the inn, blink on Tella, and Edge's speed and just normal stats and early equipment make that a really viable strategy to pretty much just get going.
Yeah, definitely, and the possible items that can be in Baron as well. I mean, we could get lucky and find 2 edge swords right off the bat and just be ready to take down the whole beginning of the seed in like 20 minutes.
There's nothing else that they really need early. Looks like baconpie is heading to Mysidia because we do have free characters turned on. Wants a little bit extra help along with his team to really get going.
Yeah, I always like to take a peek and see what I have available to me character-wise at the beginning, especially with free characters being on.
Yeah, it's nice to know who you can get Keef Gear for, who you should be on the lookout for, and know whether or not you have an anchor sitting around somewhere. That's a Rosa we find.
And a Porum at the Baron Inn. So we got 2 white mages early on that are easily accessible. Baron Inn may be a difficult point, but it just depends on who that second boss is.
Yeah, the first boss's branch always going to be a pushover. There's only a few hundred HP there, and Edge will one-shot them. Assuming it's not the gauntlet or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. The gauntlet could prove to be a little troublesome, but again, having Tello with Blink and that spot really not being too dangerous as long as Edge has some equipment, we're looking at just a possible play right there.
It looks like neither runner taking the early bait and Baron and trying to pick up the character there and get that key item. They're just hiding behind those 2 Baron in fights.
So notice the back of the waterfall caverns here has been pretty popular among our runners throughout the time we've looked, or the time we've been racing, and it seems to me that there's usually something of value back here, whether it be a white spear like that, which Oh, and power robes as well, which go well for edge. White spear is throwable, and it does do a fairly hefty amount.
Definitely interested in both of those items, and I think the reason that a lot of runners like this, and I know I do, is because it's pretty easy to get to. Ooh, that Gaia drum is also very nice early. Um, is that it's pretty dense, and the loot in all of the watery pass is elevated, and to me it's really fast to check at least the first 4 and maybe a 5th chest here, and then you can get in and get out real fast as soon as you get something that's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, even having Tella makes this check even more valuable because you can go deeper and get all the chest and the character, and then just cast exit and be bam right back at your airship. We also saw a drain spear show up. That is another very good throwable for edge. Got some really solid gear here early on.
Yeah, both runners have seen that Rydia too and not decided to pick her up. They'll probably both, I'd imagine, looking at going to do ordeals to pick up Tella his full spell list, which will also give him warp, and that means you can leave Rydia there to maybe be an anchor in the late game.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like Syl may be picking up that Rydia to just get Rydia out of the way to go check those other chests down there, and then exit. And bam, the whole watery pass has been checked, and you can move on to Damsian and see who the character is there.
It's another Rydia.
5 Rydias, please.
I mean,
I would love
on a serve, and I'm all for that.
But one of the big advantages of having Tella early is he has that exit spell. That exit spell is super beneficial just for clearing early dungeons. Once you beat Antlion, you can just cast exit and bam, be all the way out. Tella is just probably one of the best characters that you can start with.
Yeah, I know when I very first started playing for Enterprise, I was not happy to see Tella because he wasn't that useful to me at that point, but I wasn't trying to race or do other things. But as my appreciation for him has grown, my desire to see him in the initial party is pretty high too. And you can do things like Syl just did and pick up that one chest at the top that normally you get when you walk out, but since they intend to exit out directly, absolutely making the right call to go pick up that chest right away.
Let's take looks like we got an Odin available and at the beginning of Hobbs there. That could be beneficial if we run into a boss that isn't quite a boss.
Yeah, I think you're talking about those bosses that lack what a lot of people call the boss bet, where they are not immune to instant death attack, and Odin can take them out. I've also seen a lot of people use that with the trap chests. Why would people actually want to be doing trap chests in for Enterprise?
Trap chests can have a wide array of items, and they're also very beneficial just for getting some experience. Say you need to get some quick levels against like an Ogopogo at Ruby spot, and you need some levels to get that HP up and to get some more damage. Any trap chests, say at the Castle of Eblon or in the Eblon, good for experience.
Looks like our friendly neighborhood Antlion has been replaced by Bigen.
Yeah, Bigen's going to be pretty easy here. Edge just taken down the middle, and if these arms do explode, they'll probably do about 50 each. They don't have a ton of HP here, but probably not going to see an explosion just due to Edge being extraordinarily fast.
Yeah, Bigen goes down easily, and we did see baconpie do a little bit of checking up on Mount Hobbs to see what character was there, and it was another copy of Tella.
Got a rat tail from the Antlion boss. That's actually really good. That's basically a free key item check since we have the hook to start. So we can just go get that one key item check out of the way and leave our hovercraft over by the Eblon Caves. Whereas, as baconpie is doing, baconpie is going to have to go grab the hovercraft from there, go all the way up to the Adamant Cave, and then all the way back. So this is kind of routing beneficial for Syl.
And Syl does take a little peek at the waterfall cave and finds a Dr. Luge, who's probably washing off his newest creation.
That's not too bad of a boss to find early. It is unfortunately not very good for experience if you usually run into them at least a later spot, as you don't get the full experience for that fight. If you don't get the Balnab Z, or I believe you don't get the full experience if you don't get the swap from Dr. Luge either. I might be wrong on that.
Yeah, I just know it's one of the ones that I hate seeing in the Giant, because that means there's a lot of XP I just left on the table.
And baconpie finding that trap chest, taking a reset, that's a pretty scary chest to run into that early on. It's definitely doable. You got to get those stops off, but probably will be avoiding that chest and cleaning out the remainder of the chests.
And Syl picks up our favorite musical instrument from the collector in the Adamant Grotto, getting the twin harp from turning in that rat tail.
We have a pretty stacked Eblon shop here with sirens and coffins. That is easily our grind right there, as long as we have the money to pay for all of them.
Yeah, that is a really good find. Those are both very expensive, but you probably only need 2 or 3 coffins in order to really get the whole siren grind going. And Syl does find a medium sword in the grass there in Sylvera.
And it can actually be really good info for Bacon if Syl happens to find the magma key and just kind of brush off finding going through that Eblon cave and missing out on those sirens and coffins.
Yeah, and one of the things with the flag set that we're using, because it is S standard, the Evelyn shop is guaranteed to have 2 tier 5 items, where other shops will only be guaranteed usually 1, or only have the possibility of 1. So it's definitely a high priority check for me, at least.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got a character there as well with a bountiful amount of chests. So if I usually get a hook early on, I'm usually going to go take a peek, because there's a lot of value there in that hook cave.
Yeah, value like some Artemis arrows. Those will be very, very nice.
And running into that trap chest early is super beneficial, especially for Bacon, because Bacon just knows they can open the rest of the chests. And if they get a character here that they like, they got 2 Telos, so they could just get rid of one and then just cast exit. Or if they run into a Cecil, we could possibly see a leaving of the Cecil there temporarily.
Yeah, it looked like baconpie gave a long thought and decides that Syl can just sit there and stare at whichever Mylon that is that will be facing them at the end of the hook route, and we'll come back.
Yeah, that's definitely really good knowledge, knowing if you run across a crystal sword that you may not want to sell it because you know that there's a Cecil available.
And baconpie is actually going to get a little bit of one of my secret favorite things about the flag set. With those 2 Telos and an edge, both Rosa and Rydia are in slingshot range. Meanwhile, Sylverfyre finds and takes out D-Mist, who was attacking Fabula.
Yeah, D-Mist is very nice to find because we're going to get a key item here from the Fabul castle. And then immediately we can just go right to Mist, talk to Rydia's mother, and get another possible key item. Speaking of key items, finding one of our objective key items right there is pretty big. That in of itself is 3 possible key item chances once we get underground and can make our way back up.
Yeah, that is a huge find. And just knowing that you did Fabul in the first place, you're only going to double dip and only single dip self cave is a really good feeling too. Those are kind of longish walks. Takes a couple minutes to do the checks, which doesn't always feel great if you have to go back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely agreed on that one. We see some Cure 3s of the FF4FE item shop, which is fantastic. I always like to buy at least 5 or so early on. They're great if you run into an early D-Lunars, say on Mount Ordeals. A couple tosses and they're gone right away. They're just super versatile and good to have.
Yeah, and they're going to stay good for you for the rest of the game. Often you'll just use one at the final Threemus fight for whoever gets nuked initially when you try to set up your first Nerf Big Bang. So that purchase will be good for the entirety.
Yeah, and baconpie getting through that trap chest, getting some experience and levels on Rosa and Rydia. Pretty beneficial. We got warp now. Let's see. We find an Artemis bow. That's pretty spicy having a Rosa.
Yeah, and there were Artemis arrows already, I believe, that baconpie had picked up too. So with that power shirt, or maybe just the black belt that you might have taken off Edge to give Edge the power shirt, that Rosa is ready to rock.
Oh, absolutely. Rosa's pretty stacked for being MVP for a little bit, maybe even a little bit better than Edge. Finding a heroine robe would be even more fantastic and would probably make Rosa an archer for a long, long time coming.
Yeah, if that ends up happening, I would definitely be willing to take one of those Tellas and say that's been good for you, buddy. But Porum can heal, that will pick up in this fight, and then Rosa can do a lot of archery.
The evil wall here isn't too bad. The physical attack isn't going to be very high, and just going to be relatively slow spot in general.
Yeah, it looks like just 2 swings from Edge, and Evil Wall is just an evil pile of bricks.
And still making pretty quick work of some of these early checks. Do you feel that's more beneficial of? Do you think that's more a side effect of having Edge, or if it's just the bosses that have been in the certain locations?
I think it's a lot of having Edge. I love seeing an early Edge just because it does kind of really speed up your early game. baconpie has found some really, really nice gear though, so it hasn't really taken too much of a time loss as long as he gets going with them.
Yeah, baconpie is pretty good equipment-wise for I'd say about more than half the game. I see little things here and there. We got a poison claw, we got a white spear. If we run across a Kane or a Yang, we've got another possible good physical attacker there to go with our Edge.
We don't. We found enough casters, and we have Tella to make some sort of slingshot grind in the giant, either usually D machines, very much on the table.
Oh yeah, definitely. We see Syl taking over Rosa over Porum. Any idea why?
Rosa's HP curve is much better than Porum's, and she learns almost every important spell noticeably faster. Berserk and Exit are the 2 main things that Porum learns faster or easier than Rosa. So I'm definitely not surprised by that switch out.
Yeah, I think with the current party setup, Rosa is going to be the superior pick here. Whereas if you had, say, maybe 2 physical attackers or more, Porum would be the better choice because you can get Berserk on Porum before you even make it all the way to the end of Ordeals, and that can make things really easy early on in the game, getting Berserk that early.
Yeah, why is Berserk just so good in Free Enterprise and Final Fantasy IV in general?
Many reasons. You don't actually have to queue up a command with them anymore. They get it auto selected, and it increases your damage by 1.5 times. And there's some other little intrinistic things to FF4 itself, ATB wise, where Berserk is very beneficial to use. You can kind of cheese a lot of certain bosses with Berserk.
And Pale Dim is in trouble.
Oh yeah, didn't stand a chance.
Rosa, 2,000 HP out of the gate like that. That's something.
2 moon bosses here is pretty interesting, and I see Wyvern being in trouble here as well.
Yeah, probably want to throw out one quick Star Veil, and then Rosa's got this.
So I noticed Bacon running there. Do you have any idea why they would be doing that?
So when Can't Run pops up, that actually freezes the ATB. So you can actually use that to manipulate the ATB and get yourself a little bit of an extra action, a little bit of an extra edge in getting into menus. Because if you manage to freeze it just as your menu pops up, that means you have time to actually get into the menu and select some things that you normally wouldn't have. And that spoon's pretty nice.
Yeah, that spoon is good. We haven't run across an Edward yet. We do have the spoon flag on, so Edward can equip the spoon. But the spoon is also great for throwing at things. And if we run into a pretty difficult boss who we know will take care of us pretty quick, and we have an edge, we can just throw that spoon and more than likely take care of that boss in one turn.
I love throwing it at a CPU in a rude spot or a Valvalis, just to really make something that is awfully slow go much, much faster.
Yeah, much agreed. All right, and we see Bacon Pie finally making their way to Lion Cave, gonna find this rat tail, and then eventually the Twin Harp. Anything special about the Twin Harp location boss?
The Twin Harp location boss itself has a very high magic defense, but there's also a special surprise every time that you go play. Eddie's going to give you a nice extra tune. So we definitely hope that Syl and Bacon Pie do get that Twin Harp and both run and go check it.
It can be pretty tough if you have a team full of mages going to check that spot. The fight can be pretty sloggy depending on who the boss is. Usually you'll want somebody, us having an edge who can throw things. We should have really no issues with that spot at all.
Yeah, that Ninja Star that we saw Bacon Pie pick up, and I'm pretty sure Syl picked up earlier in Antlion, those sell for a lot, but also will do about 2,000 or more damage right away.
Yeah, and if I'm Bacon Pie, I'm picking up all this high tier gear, and I'm going. I've got some money here that I can make, and I can just go buy some sirens and coffins if we find a magma key. Get that grinding knocked out of the way early on.
I think Syl is digging for some trap chests since they have not reset out of this fight. So looking to get some experience points, looking to get some really top tier gear. Maybe was hoping for one of those Ridias to get an Odin off to clear this out a little bit faster.
It's like they are getting pretty unlucky with the attacks. See the Chocobo summon over on Bacon's side doing quite a hefty amount of damage, and that's going to be due to that extra gear that Riddy is rocking and some of those extra levels early on that he got taking down those stale men.
Yeah, and I briefly mentioned the slingshot. So when you are more than 5 levels behind the median level of your party, you actually get double experience points. And so Rydia, who starts at level 1, gets slingshot pretty easily, but Rosa also happened to get a slingshot in those first fights because Tella starts at 20 and Edge starts at 25. And here we see Bacon Pie picking up the hovercraft like you mentioned earlier, Couch, and having to move it from the hook route to go check this out and we'll have to move it back in case we don't find a magma key anywhere.
I'm really hoping that we don't find a magma key because I really want to see who's at this King Queen Nebulon spot. I always like maybe running into a pretty difficult boss there, like say Mom Bomb.
Yeah, we've already taken one of the most evil ones out of the pool, with Evil Wall already being seen and dealt with. But Mom Bomb and Ogopogo are also very, very rude there.
We see Sylverfyre finally finishing up in Eblon. Gonna head, looks like, to Twin. We may be seeing this music play.
Or could just be faking us out and looking at a couple of shops. We'll have to find out in just a little bit. Those vampires are kind of nice early. They're a little expensive, but they can propel you through ordeals in case you didn't have firepower on your team. This particular team doesn't really need it.
We have yet another Tella up on Mount Ordeals here. Seed's been pretty Tella heavy. I'm hoping we see another character pop up here soon.
Yeah, better runners are too. I'm sure they would both love an edge for that white spear we found earlier. I'm not sure who else I'd be really excited to see, except maybe a second Cecil. Why is second Cecil such a big deal?
Due to this current flag set, we have vanilla agility. So the way this game works in vanilla is the monsters or bosses speed is always going to be based off of Cecil's agility. Whereas in this situation, this is specific to Free Enterprise. If you do not have Cecil in your party and you have vanilla agility on, it will be whoever is sitting in the center slot. So if we know where one Cecil's at and we see another one pop up and we find some pretty solid gear for Cecil, we could be pretty set for the rest of the game. Like we have the Dark Imps in the Mylon spot, which is pretty easy to take on. It's a very low physical spot, really not much of a threat at all. And Edge just makes very quick work of them.
I haven't been counting, but I know Rose has been doing some shooting with those Artemis arrows. Hopefully Baconpie is able to ration them a little bit throughout the rest of the seed and make good use of them for grinding on eggs later.
Yeah, and one thing that we could do is if we have at least 2 arrows left, we could get one siren off and take that second siren and use Berserk with Rosa on herself, and we could save that one last Artemis arrow.
As long as the arrow that you're shooting kills the last enemy on the screen and also doesn't get used, so you don't even have to berserk yourself when you're doing eggs. If you have party arrows, then enough to kill the egg.
Yeah, much agreed. As long as you basically don't get another turn after you have fired that last arrow, as long as your command box does not pop up, you will never expend that last arrow. And it looks like we've got a pretty free Mount Ordeals here. This could be really advantageous for Bacon if, say, Bacon were to find a Darkness Crystal up here. We could go get some grinding done and be done with grinding for the rest of the game and not even need to worry about those sirens or coffins.
The sub 30-minute ordeal or sub 30-minute D-Machine grind is a thing, but unfortunately not going to be a thing in this seed. That's a pass, which we love to see, because that gets us direct access to Zeromus. So in case we do find both pieces of the Crystal Sword, the Legend Sword, and Adamant, and we already know where the pan is, the Braziers might not actually have to go to the moon.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to be pretty interesting to see what shows up where. We know we have underground access and an objective with this hook. Do you at this point go check the Twin Harp, or do you just make your way underground so you can hit that? So you can hit Yang and get your 2 objectives done, and just be looking for the Darkness Crystal?
I think I am doing that latter. Between the 3 key item checks you have with the pan once you get underground, and the free key item check in Fame March, and the 2 key item checks that with a Warpcaster while available in Dwarf Castle, I would be doing the freebie checks first, and then hoping to find Darkness Crystal as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's this seed's looking to be possibly done pretty quick, depending on what items show up where. This pass is a pretty big thing, and if we happen to find a Darkness Crystal, we know we'll be in go mode. Well, at least Syl will. Bacon hasn't quite done for Rule yet, so we don't have that pan, but we do know where the pan is, and it looks like Bacon's taking this Twin Heart play. Pretty excited for this. I'd like to see something here that's gonna make the game a little bit more interesting. So like something like a tower key. Tower key would be pretty interesting to find here.
Yeah, maybe a good Cecil weapon to give the runners a really interesting choice on whether or not to take that Cecil. If you get an Excal here, Excal is probably enough to take Cecil, but also maybe not, depending on what's at the hook route.
And another advantage of going to this dungeon is there are quite a amount of chests that are relatively close to your walking path that aren't too far out of the way, and you can find some amazing items just like that silk web right there.
Yeah, that silk web, which will do 2 casts of slow all in one item toss, is really, really nice to find. Really good to have for zero miss or some occasional rude bosses in very fast locations.
And chat pointing out that the chocobo was not checked. In that chocobo forest specifically, there are 3 possible item locations. Well, item like pots that you can find. There are 2 in the actual tail of the because if you actually zoom out and look at the whole map, it's a literal chocobo shaped forest. In the tail section there are 2 pots, and in the foot area there is 1 pot. So there are 3 possible items there that could be really advantageous. And I know some people like myself like to check that chocobo quite often whenever I get the chance to be there. You can find some really, really good stuff there.
Yeah, those are weighted just like the Watery Pass as kind of lonely places that people often don't check, so they get an extra boost. Looks like Rosa turned Tella into stone, so those are some Medusa arrows Rosa's rocking up there for Bacon Pie.
Yeah, unfortunately did not get another turn with Rosa in time, so seeing that triple cast and taking the perished text box, it's still faster than seeing weak and then seeing we can't. But it's good to see her. I am going to stop talking for just a minute and find out what this song is going to be. All right, with the music being over here, finding Dark Elf here is pretty interesting. Dark Elf is the only boss that starts with the boss bit, and when it transforms, actually ends up losing that boss bit. So if you have a fully powered Tele here, you can cast Weak on the Dark Elf and just have an easy second time. And as you can see, Stop is useful as well.
Yeah, we did see Odin refuse to attack the Dragon Form of Dark Elf because, well, it doesn't have the boss bit. It does have instant death immunity, so you couldn't use a Coffin or use Odin. But can absolutely stop it, like we saw happen earlier. And then this dragon just kind of sits there for a little bit, just waiting to be pounded on.
Yeah, the stop casts are perfectly fine. Weak is usually the spell of choice here, just due to the fact that you can bring it down to single-digit HP and then one single smack and it's done with. But getting through that fight really easy. Those ninja stars proving to be ever useful.
And we get another white spear.
Looks like some more ammo.
Yeah, not quite the dream. baconpie probably a little disappointed in the reward there, but it did pick up Berserk, I believe, on Rosa in that fight. So it does have some value both with the spear and with just getting that extra wonderful spell on more characters.
So I know that Syl did find D-Mist at Fabul, which baconpie has not done yet, which they're probably more than likely about to go ahead and do right now. Did you happen to see if Syl checked the free item spot or not?
I don't remember if they did.
Yeah, I'm thinking that they did not, and this could prove to be maybe almost beneficial if D-Mist is blocking that magma key.
I can imagine being so excited to see that pan and know you got an objective and kind of mentally checking it off that you forgot that you had demissed, especially with the little bit of extra cutscene and walking that happens right after the fight.
So we see Syl making their dive through the upper tower. So this is going to be an objective completion as soon as the upper tower is completed, because after we fall in the crystal room, we'll make our way down the next two rooms and then find the falcon, and then bam, objective 4 will be done. Syl finding this trap chest, really good here. Unfortunately, only having one actually, I see the stack of 5 coffins right there. These Mad Ogres are susceptible to instant death. Coffins are good to find here, and you can pick up some lives as well to get some life glitches off.
Yeah, the life glitch is a really nice glitch for our runners. We turn it on and leave it on most of the time for them, and because of the little quirk that Final Fantasy IV does resurrect people with life potions and the Life 1 spell with 5 times the vitality, and monsters never get vitality in their stats. That means the monster is quickly raised back to life and then quickly goes back to swoon status, and you get credit for that brief flicker of a moment that the monster was alive again.
So as you can see, those coffins making very, very quick work of the Mad Ogre is going to be through this chest as soon as this next coffin goes off. The Cecil going down. I'm not sure Syl wanted that to happen. As you can see, Edge throwing a sneak there. You can steal Bacchus wines from these Mad Ogres. It's a pretty good item to find.
Yeah, one of the changes in 4.0 was to return the Japanese loot tables to the game, to where you can steal Bacchus wines from here, you can steal sirens from other places, and in general, you just get a lot more interesting loot available from using Edge's sneak attack or sneak command. And so we do have the ability to turn those on and off too as well at the encounter table, but they are on in this flag set. And you see still trying to get their namesake to stop the Mad Ogre so that it will stop punching people, and you can keep stealing for as long as possible.
So we did see baconpie go and check the waterfall spot, looking for that D-Mist. Going to be very happy to see D-Mist here. Unfortunately, they did lose just a hair bit of time, not going directly to Fagul, but gonna make that time up here, and we'll find out if we actually see if Syl checked that spot or not. See a quick Sylph cast, making very, very short work of Demist over there, and fully healing that party. You did get a full heal before and after doing the Fagul defending Fagul scenario, and baconpie going to get the end here and know, hey, there's no options left except for this Demist and this hook, so probably going to take a peek at that Demist and then make their way down the hook path.
Yeah, and still having a little bit of trouble with that Matador chest, did eventually throw the Hourglass 2 that was found in Cave of Lana in order to just kind of recollect and get everybody back up. Looks like might be keeping that Cecil down as an anchor.
Not getting very lucky with these sneaks here. I'm seeing a bunch of fails, and finally we get a Bacchus wine there. Looks like Syl's just gonna keep trying to steal some, or just end the fight right here.
Yeah, the sneak chance is affected by the monster's level and Edge's level, so as Edge levels up more relative to the monster, the sneak is successful more often. And that white shirt is going to be really nice for Rosa once Rosa switches over, or just going to be really nice for Rosa right this moment.
Yeah, the white robe is always a fantastic find for any white mage. What's not to say about it? Gives you really good defense.
Yeah, I love throwing it on a Cecil sometimes if I don't have any particularly great heavy armor for him. It ends up being as good or better than a lot of the kind of middling heavy armor.
Yeah, definitely agree with that play right there. So Bacon just cleaning up these shops here, just doing a quick peek. Probably going to pick up some Cure 3s, maybe a stack of 10, and then be more than likely on their way to checking the Demist spot.
We don't have a situation where both runners forget to check Demist.
Yeah, it has been known to happen. It's one of those things where you're like, okay, well, I've got the pan, I've got underground access, it's Syl's situation, and just going, let's get that done. Maybe Syl is doing that, saving that for the trip back up after turning in the pan, which would be a pretty good routing decision.
Lydia is talking to her sunbathing mother.
Alrighty, so we get a legend sword, so I'm assuming that Syl did not stop to check. What is your take on that find right there?
That's super, super spicy. That is now 2 different ways that we are a key item away from go mode. We know that the Dark Crystal has to be here on Earth, because it cannot possibly by logic be anywhere else. But that adamant could be anywhere, and there's still a lot of key item checks on Earth. Who knows where that's going to be? And that's an interesting weapon shop there in the city, in Mist Village. Mute knives are very nice. Edge can great use of those on the moon, doing some Warlock grinds. And also mute arrows too for Rosa. And that's a CPU that Sylverfyre finds guarding the King Queen Evelyn spot.
Much agreed. Just to cover one more item in that shop, we see a Dwarf Axe there. Dwarf Axe being beneficial in 2 ways. One being a back row ranged weapon. So equipping that on a Cecil will allow Cecil to be back row glitched. So anytime in this game when you equip a back row style weapon on somebody, they are permanently stuck in that back row. I'd say it's more of a flag that's set as soon as you equip it, and it stays on that character forever, giving them the ability to attack from the back row with whatever weapon they want. So once you equip somebody, say with like a bow and arrow, like Rosa comes back row glitched, same with Edward, they can hit from the back row with any weapon and do the same amount of damage as if they were in the front row.
Yeah, and that's something that is really nice for, say, the CPU fight, where the CPU is in the back row, and normally you want to leave one of the two, either the attacker or defender, and normally the attacker, up and alive so that it doesn't resurrect them both and globe 199 two of your characters out of existence, but still is able to get through that fight without having to deal with that. And I think you had said two things with that dwarf axe. What was the other one?
So the dwarf axe also has an interesting penalty to it. It has -5 to agility, and having a Cecil anchor example on Syl's side, a dwarf axe would be very beneficial. Explained earlier that a lot of all of the enemies in this game are based off of Cecil's agility in vanilla. So usually the lower that agility is, the slower the enemy that you're fighting will be. And -5 to agility is a pretty big drop.
Level 1 Paladin Cecil starts out at 13 agility, and so you give him that dwarf axe will drop to 8. And one of the key numbers you start to look for a lot as you play for Enterprise is being more than 2.5 times the speed of the person who's the basis for the agility, what we call the agility anchor. So that will change that from being about a 30-something agility to be more than that 2.5 times, to just having to be at 21 agility to be relatively 1, which means that your anchor always goes at once every 5 ticks. Or their ability to get a turn is once every 5 ticks. When you're at relative agility 1, you have the ability to turn once every ATB tick. Now, stuff gets a little more complicated depending on who's in the queue and when you're actually able to get a turn in other ways. But you are looking to try and keep your most of your team as fast as possible, so having a slow anchor kind of bounds your team and gets that to be as fast as they possibly can. You can really use that to have some good leverage effects.
Yeah, definitely. The great thing about seeing Mylon in the Ruby spot is Mylon will counter every single thing that happens to him with a lit 1. The Ruby spot has not very low, but relatively low actual spell, magic power itself. So you're seeing these lit ones do 45 to 50 with some just basic gear. And the really scary spot about this is the physical attack. It's relatively high. It can be pretty rude, so that's why you see a blink going up on Tella there to continue to cast a blink, I would assume.
The Sylph cast from Rydia is going to do just fine for sylverfyre. Everyone pretty much healed, and like you were saying, the blinks will be great to make sure that those punches don't do too much work.
Baconpie getting this Mad Ogre chest. Gonna find that white rope in their gun. Looks like just berserking edge and just gonna go ham. 2 short swords. Gonna take about 3 or so hits per. Gonna be a little slow, but other than that, gonna make pretty short work of this. And we did see Bacon swap out Tella for Cecil, so now over on Bacon's side, Cecil is now the agility anchor instead of Edge, so they're gonna speed up Edge even more here, faster than he was before.
Yeah, because since Edge has been in the middle for Baconpie all the time, Edge has been the anchor. But now Cecil will always take that spot no matter where he is in the formation. And since Edge is noticeably faster, he's sped up a good bit. I will be interested to see if Baconpie does what Syl has done and made sure to keep Cecil down so that Cecil doesn't get any faster.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, Cecil's gonna get that double experience, but I don't see that being too harmful, especially with the bosses that we have here.
Yeah, and the main reason why people are worried about Cecil's already taken care of in that wyvern that we have long ago eliminated in the Baronet.
We see still kind of chipping away at Mylon over here, getting the Oh My Body. So another good thing about having Mylon in this spot is you don't have to do the full amount of damage to actually beat Mylon. He has a certain point in his script HP wise where he will say "Oh my body" and fade away, and it's usually, especially in a relatively high HP, it's substantially lower than it would be at a like a lower HP spot like Antlion.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice to see Mylon Z here because of that. Probably save 2 or 3 rounds of attacking and getting those lit 1 counters. That is a Golbez that is sitting at the top of the tower. I don't imagine either one is going to choose to go there.
That's not a bad spot to have him. The magic attack there is quite low, really non-threatening. The only issue is it's just going to be pretty slow.
Normally, you'd kind of like to see Golbez in some spots that you can manipulate the priority status. Golbez will cast a hold spell on you at the beginning of the fight, but if you say use Pinky or Size on your own characters, those effects actually have a higher priority in Final Fantasy IV, and that will actually block the hold. Which in, say, the Asura spot is great news, because that means you'll be able to get a Star Veil up on one or both of the characters that would remain alive, and let Golbez bulk of the damage to himself. Where in this particular spot, because as Couch said, the magic attack is so low, and the HP is pretty high, it's just a really slow, obnoxious spot to deal with Golbez.
We got Syl heading down to smack Yang, gonna get that second objective knocked out of the way. If we see an adamant pop up, we know where everything's at for go mode. Syl would just have to go check that demist spot, and Syl could be in go mode in just a second, depending on if we see adamant pop up.
Yeah, adamant or darkness is go mode for you on her. Syl would need to pick up an extra thing. That pigtail is pretty nice, though.
Yeah, the pigtail being another key item itself. One good thing about these flags is once we get to 10 key items, we get 2 times the experience. So our experience is always going to be doubled after we get 10 key items. The pass will not count. But currently, Syl is sitting at 6, about to possibly be at 7, could theoretically be at 9, even 10, depending on what show up, and then it would probably just be a quick siren grab and just pop them all off.
Yeah, does it make you nervous when you get to kind of this, oh, I'm close to go mode feelings, even though Syl doesn't quite know how close they actually are?
Oh yeah, I always get pretty nervous when I see I've got 2 objectives done at 50 minutes and I only need a darkness crystal for go mode. Or if I can find a legend and adamant really quick, that kind of puts me in, okay, well, what do I have to do long run now? And speaking of, Syl now in go mode, having the darkness crystal, they just need to grind and then make their way to the moon, take on that plague spot. But if baconpie happens to fade Feymark and find an adamant, Bacon will not have to go to the moon at all, and that could be pretty advantageous.
Yeah, baconpie does get through that CPU fight pretty cleanly and is going to just make sure that no mishaps happen here on this hook route and go back and save very quickly before taking on Mylon and friends.
Unfortunately, baconpie did spend some time knocking off Cecil in that fight, getting a full heal here, and that fight itself having no experience at that slot. Wasted just a hair bit of time, but overall still pretty good with that CPU fight. So I imagine Syl right now is checking for some weapons for Edge and Cecil, since we really haven't found anything. That Pinktail could hold a crystal sword, but right now Cecil really doesn't have much to swing. It kind of at an impasse here on what to do.
Yeah, do you think that you would check the Pinktail and then be waiting on that to determine whether you keep Cecil or not once you get up to the moon?
Probably. I would definitely be doing a Pinktail check when I head back to the surface. Knowing I've smacked Yang with the pan, and that's 2 more key items. I want to knock out as many key items as I can. Sylverfyre finding Water Hag at the Ashura spot. That's pretty interesting. It could possibly be a quick key item to grab here.
I kind of like the play. You know that you can go up to Sheila and get two key item checks. So you could be putting yourself with this at 10 key items even before doing the White Spear Altar.
Yeah, absolutely. This is basically right now I believe Syl's train of thought is going to be, I need to find key items so I can make my grind as fast as possible, and I can do that pretty quick as long as I have as long as I still have that pan I can turn in. That's 2 more possible checks right there.
I'll see if Syl does remember that Demist was a thing when they go back to Fagul. Maybe just seeing the entry to the castle one more time will remind them that they do have a Demist check.
And Syl having that Rosa live is pretty good. 2 hits off already. So Water Hag with the free boss's flag on means 3 hits, and it's basically a scripted fight. 3 hits, the fight's automatically over. You get a decent chunk of experience at this point, and we'll see if we get a key item here.
That's a great key item. My goodness. A lot more checks for Cecil to get some really good weapons, or for Edge too. I'd be very, very thrilled with that check.
Yeah, so the Earth Crystal in Free Enterprise, in Vanilla you get it after beating the Dark Elf, and it allows you to go to the Tower of Zot. Another thing that it does is after you do the little cutscene in Vanilla, you get a treasury open up to you with a pretty absurd amount of chests, and in Free Enterprise, once you get the Earth Crystal, you can go open that room, and you get some pretty high tier gear there.
Syl finds a couple of sorcerer rooms to purchase here in Tamra, home of the Job Dwarf. We'll see what else Syl sells and whether or not Syl goes to check the Job Dwarf's occupation.
And that right there tells me to sell everything that I have and buy 2 ninja swords. Especially knowing that I'm in go mode, that's gonna selling those power robes. That's pretty interesting choice. But still, definitely looking for that money. Ninja swords are arguably Edge's second best weapon, I want to say. They're unfortunately very expensive.
Yeah, I think I might have been willing to go to eat the time to go check the Earth Crystal Treasury in Troya, and then maybe come back if I didn't find some top tier Edge gear in there.
So we see a job dwarf check there. I didn't happen to catch what it was. It had something to do with computer engineering, I want to say.
Yeah, it's like computer application specialist or engineer thing. It was a very
little
fast
too
check.
quick there. And we see Bacchus wines.
Yeah.
Those are fantastic for the crew that Syl has. That can allow a free cast of white for that Rosa if they decide to grind to it, and leaving the physical attackers to just berserk themselves.
Even if they don't grind to white, just berserkers often running helps so much mitigate Zeromus's speed and puts you on a much more beneficial footing in that fight.
Yeah, definitely agreed. And we see Baconpie make it through that Mylon fight. Gonna be getting their first objective done. Probably gonna go right to that Sylph Cave and get that next objective. We'll see if Bacon decides to go to Feymark or not right away. I'm curious to see if there's an adamant behind this pan, because if there's an adamant behind this pan, this could be a very interesting race.
Yeah, because if I get adamant, I'm not ever summoning the whale. I'm just buying more sirens and going.
Exactly, and then you've already found so many key items already, you may as well just keep looking. Sheila not having any key items at all, which is good for Syl. That means Syl isn't Go mode. Bacon going to Feymark will be entering Go mode here as well, as soon as we see that Darkness Crystal up. Now it's pick of the grinds. What grinds are available to our runners right now?
They can definitely go back to Upland Cave, buy lots of sirens, and with those Artemis arrows, they have one-shot eggs until they are done with any thoughts of breakfast, and do all the grind there. Syl could also, especially if Syl decides to check the Mysidia weapon shop and get a mute knife for those mute arrows, do warlocks on the moon would be another really good grind. They can sometimes feel a bit slower, but because you do get 3 of them to kill and you can life glitch them, you can actually get an awful lot of experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, neither of our runners having a Tella, so that kind of, actually, Syl still does have a Tella. Syl could, in theory, go to the Giant and grind on D machines, but I feel with Sirens and Coffins both being available in the same shop, I say the egg grind is probably the easiest pick right now.
Yeah, there were a lot of apples in that treasury, which, while I'm not super thrilled with if I'm a runner here, I'm not terribly unhappy either, because those sell for a lot, and that really facilitates a fast siren grind.
Yeah, definitely agreed. We see Syl raising that whale. We'll see what Syl's choice is for a grind here. Just getting the whale prepped more than likely. We'll probably see Syl head back to the Eblon Cave, pick up some sirens before heading to the moon, and probably do a... I would probably say we're going to see a warlock grind on Syl's side.
Yeah, having Rosa probably be able to get an initial spell off, we'll be able to get mute off, which means that the warlocks won't be a problem in and of themselves, since they pretty much only cast. And Demarine noting that Syl already has 13 sirens, so that can possibly be enough. You'll get about 80,000 if you get all the life glitches off from the warlocks. So yeah, that should be enough. Those 13 sirens should be plenty if you're able to use them all and do it pretty efficiently.
Yeah, I did not see the purchase, but having 13 sirens, this is an easy go to the moon right now, get the grinding done. Maybe replace the Cecil if we find another character here, and maybe use Tella as that anchor.
Yeah, depending on what level that Tella is at, I would probably be willing to take almost anyone except over that Cecil.
And baconpie throwing down a save, more than likely going to go check that blue robe down there, find out that it's Water Hag, and they'll probably take a stab at this this fight here.
Yeah, and indeed does.
The reason we take a look at the blue robes is we can narrow down what the next blue robe we find is going to be, or we can just find out immediately whether it's going to be a nice free and easy fight, or if it's going to be a long arduous fight like the Fubu Gauntlet. If we had the Fubu Gauntlet here, without a doubt we'd skip it, move on, and just continue on probably to Sylph Cave, and then go knock on Yang, get that objective knocked out of the way.
Couch, did you see the name substitution there?
I did not.
It was me. So Anna said, "Fight me."
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, still buy some mute bells up in the Hemingway shop, which will be great if indeed Warlock Grind is in our future. But is now continuing to do a little shopping. Comes back to the Blue Planet, is hopping into this Kaipo Inn, facing down the old lady in Kaipo, and buying a bunch of life potions.
I had a feeling that's what Syl was looking for. You don't start with too many life potions here, and if you happen to not get that mute bell off right away, you're going to want some to keep your party members alive up on the moon. And we see Syl checking this demist, remembering it's going to put Syl at 9 key items. Sitting at 9 key items, are you going to go check another possible easy key item spot like a dwarf castle before you go up to the moon, or do you just make a break for it?
Make the break for it and check the do the fight at White Spear, see if I can actually do it at my levels, and then go back up and grind some more once I get to 10.
Yeah, exactly, because there are a few bosses that we actually haven't ran into yet that could be pretty free, such as King Queen Eblon. That would be amazing to find at that spot, giving you a key item with crystal and possibly a crystal sword for Cecil or whatever. There's just a lot of things that could be there that would be advantageous in the situation.
I'd also be contemplating, just depending on how you felt about your party and whether or not you've been tracking the and so does buy a dwarf axe probably to slow down Cecil a little bit more. We did also see some mute arrows purchased and the mute knife, so we're definitely set up for warlocks. But I could absolutely see doing a couple of warlocks just to pick up a bunch of levels. You probably pick up 5 to 7 off of 2 warlock fights, maybe a little bit more than that. Catapult yourself up to the high 30s, low 40s, take out whatever is there at the White Spear altar, and then come back up and finish the grind, do another 2 or 3 sirens worth.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely very smart play. We're going to see the pink tail turned in here. Let's see what we get.
Well there.
And unfortunately, I don't believe Syl checked the pink tail, so Syl not going to have an X-Cal. We may see a possible ditching of Cecil if we see a cane or something. But at this point, I have a feeling Syl may be sticking with Cecil, but maybe not. We see another edge. Not going to quite have the weapons. This could be a pretty interesting decision to make here.
Still makes it pretty fast though. Goodbye Tella. Hello second edge.
Yeah, that second edge is definitely a pretty good play. More than likely going to see still remain level 1 here for at least a little bit. This is one of those things where it's kind of hard to set up your party when you have 3 physical attackers and 2 mages. It's just kind of hard to make that choice of, do I want to stick a mage in a front row and have one of my physical attackers just be safe in the back? Or do I just want to throw everybody up front and have my mages protected in the back? The good thing about this is you don't need to worry about row for the warlock fight if you have mute bells, because they only do magical attacks.
Yeah, and plus I know Syl did have a boomerang in the inventory, so I am pretty sure that they had back row glitch the edge. Edge being ambidextrous does have a dominant hand, so if you do have 2 weapons equipped for edge, you do have to put the boomerang or the full moon, either of those long range weapons, into the right hand, both as in the correct hand and in the right hand, as opposed to the left.
Going to see just a hair bit of inventory management here. Having those life potions all the way down at the bottom is going to be a little bit rough to get the life glitches off, but the good news is you can just move them back up during animations.
Yeah, and that I know that you are excellent at doing stuff like that. Taking time when the game is going to give you free seconds that's already doing something else to manipulate your inventory and move stuff around, just to save a little bit of time. That can really add up during a run.
Absolutely, it can make it can really just save menu time in general, because if you're constantly scrolling down through your menu, you're losing that time instead of having things up at the but you can see that mute dagger doing huge damage to these warlocks here. Just Edge making very short work of them. We're gonna see some quick levels here.
Do you think that you would be taking both Rydia and Rosa all the way up to their ultimate spells, or their effective ultimate spells? Do you think you go as far as getting Nuke on Rydia?
Knowing I'm sitting at 9 key items, I would probably do 3 sirens here, get some levels, and go check that spot to see if we get the guaranteed 10th key item. Because as soon as Syl finishes that spot, Syl will be getting that crystal, giving them 1 more key item, putting them at 10, and then just taking a quick jaunt back. Even cast warp with Rydia would get you there probably faster than running. It's not that far back to get to this room, and it could be pretty beneficial in the long run.
Wow, we've seen Baconpie go into the treasury and pick up their Murasame bushel of apples and the power shirt, and also we did see a longsword picked up out of a pot too. So in case Baconpie does pick up that extra edge, there's a little bit of extra gear.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a lot of good gear just hanging out this seed. But I like seeing those 2 items right there. An Excal and a power robe, and having that Cecil. That's big news right there.
Yeah, that's a Cecil who's going to be swinging for 5,000 to 6,000 probably, maybe upper 4s to mid to high 5s per swing, and that's a lot of damage.
Bacon more than likely just checking around for shops to ensure that they are fully prepared to go to the moon. Maybe trying to remember where those mute bells were. Not quite sure the heading to local shop. There's only, I think there's 4 items total here. There's 1 hidden to the right of the stairwell. There's 2 in those pots, and there's 1 in the bookshelf. Realizing that they don't have the you don't get the shop. A shop unlocks after you turn in the adamant and legend sword. Along with giving you an Excal, it opens up a shop.
Yeah, that's that shop too.
Yeah, that's a very stacked shop. It can have pretty much everything.
Once we get into the table flags and we're on the S Pro flags, that's the only place that runners would be able to find Bacchus wine or coffins, hourglasses, or sirens.
And we can affirm that it was a computer applications engineer. Always good to see the job dwarf checked in these races. That is a little inside joke in the community. That dwarf will always have a different job every seed that you do, and I don't even know how many different ones there are. But I rarely see a duplicate come up.
Yeah, I think after Rex Rule had suggested it, boys just found a big list of occupations. I believe we did have to scrub it at least once, because there was of a slightly questionable nature. But we do have a wonderful list that the job dwarf just rotates around. I feel like he is always Kirk from Gilmore Girls.
We see Syl going through quite a few sirens, more than likely just trying to get a grind done and out of the way, just so they can immediately go, hey, I got my crystal, bam, let's go take on this. Really at this point, having Bacchus wines, you really don't need Rydia. Rydia is just going to kind of be there for a little bit of extra damage. But these edges are probably going to be putting in most of the damage against Zeron this year.
Yeah, I know that there are at least some of the vanilla speed runs that get by just essentially on Rosa and Edge.
Surprisingly, Rosa is barely used in one of the longer categories. It's all about Kanan Edge, because in vanilla you can buy elixirs, and I think just being able to elixirs in any game is pretty overpowered in general.
Yeah, and as part of the 4.1 patch with Free Enterprise 2, we did actually lower the cost of elixirs. They had just been a little too high cost for any runner to actually have enough money to afford really any of them. And so they're still pretty pricey, but you can actually contemplate buying one or two at this point.
I don't expect we'll be seeing too much grinding on Silver side. Maybe 4 or 5 more sirens. Rose is about to break the 2K barrier here. Rosa having a white robe will not need I believe there's a white robe, a ribbon, and a crystal ring out there. All 3 of those on Rosa is going to make her very survivable against some of these big bangs from Zeromus.
Yeah, and I know we've seen the Silent Staff or 2, and I think Syl might have one in the inventory. I know that with only 2 Berserkers, I might feel more comfortable with Rosa at like 23 to 2400 HP, just to make sure that she is almost entirely guaranteed to survive the 8-roll Big Bang, and highly, highly likely to survive the 9-roll.
Yeah, if you're just going Rosa with 2 Zerkers, it's definitely advantageous to do just a hair bit more grinding to get that HP, that safety net, just in case you get some pretty rude rolls. It's going to be beneficial in the long run, instead of taking that Zeromus fight over and over again.
Yeah, and baconpie is still doing a little bit of shopping, finalizing that inventory. Hopefully won't cost him too much time overall and I know I get nervous in these go modes if I haven't been doing things for a while to where I know that I have everything that I need. So we could be a little bit of that to where baconpie isn't quite sure exactly what's necessary, or doesn't feel comfortable yet just going for it like sylverfyre has.
Yeah, we see sylverfyre making that descent, going to more than likely stop at the save point. Throw some apples on Rosa to get her to 2400. 2400 is about the highest roll any Big Bang is going to do if it's unnerfed. But we do see Syl making that descent. Gonna stop more than likely before the white spear pedestal. Save, use a cabin, make sure everybody's at full capacity. We see Syl moving around some spells, getting the necessary ones up top. We may not see a cabin usage. We saw a couple of Cure 4s popped off right there just to get the crew at full health. We may see no use of the cabin because cabins do bring people back, whereas tents will not bring anybody back from KO. So tents can be really advantageous to keep in if you're just trying to heal a small amount of HP and you don't want to bring anybody back. So say you want to leave your anchor at level 1, like is happening here with Cecil. We're seeing some pretty good gear over getting tossed on these edges. There's going to be some good damage put out.
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit of work to distribute some of the good weaponry to edges. One getting the Murasame and the Mute Knife, the other picking up the Ninja Sword. So both images should be doing some pretty decent damage. Meanwhile, baconpie making the run at Dwarf Castle, and the 2 key item checks here, probably looking to get that 10th key item before going to the moon and doing a grind. baconpie also might be more interested in doing the egg grind here because he does have those Artemis arrows.
Yeah, and even if you don't, even if this isn't like advantageous to finding the adamant, just getting that 10th key item will make the grind so much faster than Syl did. Just getting that extra experience is very significant.
Find our favorite Tangle pasta-shaped boss here in Ogopogo. This is actually a place I don't mind so much.
Yeah, we're gonna see an Ashura cat here. It is a pretty rude physical spot, but it has a relatively low HP. Edge is going to make short work, especially with this Ashura just basically full healing everybody. We see Bacchus Wines used, and we're going to see a blink cast on the center edge. It's just going to make very short work of Ogo here.
And we have Asura cast on one screen and Asura coming down to guard the Dwarf Castle Crystal on the other.
As you can see, that edge is just swinging away, putting up pretty massive damage. I don't see this Ogo lasting too much longer. Syl will be receiving the crystal after this fight is over. Getting a 10th key item may take an extra fight just for safety, for some extra levels, but at this point you're kind of like, hey, I know my opponent's not done yet. I know that goad was bam really quick. Gotta kind of be sweating in your boots there for a minute.
Yeah, I would definitely be nervous. I don't think I take an extra fight since you had taken the time to level Rosa up to 2400 HP before this, but pick up the package and crystal. That's 11 key items. That's definitely fully go mode. That is 3 of the 4 objectives complete.
Still gonna throw down a save, a well-needed save. Gonna make that descent. Let's see what we get here on baconpie side. So just a glass helm from that warp cast, but we didn't see the Luca item yet, so we could still see an adamant here, and it could still be a very close race if this fight happens to go south.
Another white shirt isn't the dream, but those are 2 pretty nice pieces of gear.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now I'm seeing a whole bunch of these Z's pop up in chat. Is everybody in chat okay? Y'all falling asleep? What's going on?
I think they need a little caffeine. Maybe we need to get some more energy out of this couch. I know it's kind of near the end of the day, but chat looks like they're really tired.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty tired myself, but I think what it really means is, so we've been talking about randomized stuff this whole game. This whole run, randomized music for the twin harp, randomized job dwarf. What else could be randomized here?
We could randomize some text, maybe.
That sounds spicy.
He's the light, and he'll give us hugs.
Hugs are nice, but I have a feeling that that's not quite what's going on. Zeromus has 2 different forms in vanilla. He's got this little hairy form here, and then when you use the crystal, he transforms into a moon beast type thing. Skalakitty and both Skalakitty and Boardface have decided to randomize the actual sprite that gets changed into. So we have a wide variety of sprites that it could be, and here we see a cute little adorable penguin.
We are gonna kick Dude Miss's butt tonight. Sorry, Dude Miss.
So there's sprites from different games, there's sprites from newer games, there's sprites that are just silly memes, there's so many different sprites, like it's just fantastic. Yeah,
Scala has done amazing work. Take suggestions from the community, so feel free to drop into the Discord too. And we do have a link to a suggestion box, which does all the wonderful remembering for Scala, so she can devote all of her effort into drawing and making the sprites as wonderful as possible.
We saw a target Cecil there. That is a counterattack. Wow. Unfortunately, Zeromus counters the white spell with a weak cast. Losing one of our Zerkers right off the bat is going to be very rough. The good thing is life 2. We also have regular life potions. But Zeromus has quite a lot of different scripts here.
Yeah, we saw that initial nuke hit Cecil, and that actually made Zeromus change spell power, so that we saw that Big Bang come out with much less damage than it would normally. Only did a couple 100 points of damage to Rydia.
So the good news is here that top edge is back up. It looks like Zeromus is going pretty fast. We're going to see a full power Big Bang roll here. More than likely, just looks like everybody survived. That's pretty good. But we get a little bit of struggles here with a little bit faster Zeromus. It looked like a Lit 3 was trying to go off before that Big Bang went off. What do you think Silva was trying to do there?
Well, I wonder if she was trying, or if they were trying to nerf the second Big Bang. That's really hard to do with the delay that is on those Lit 3 spells. You're usually looking to use a no delay spell like a slow or nuke or virus cast, just so that it happens immediately. You don't have to worry about it coming back out at an inopportune time. There's still plenty of time to recover this fight, though. You have an Edge and a Rosa, and they both have enough HP to kind of take this all the way home. Hopefully you can get the other Edge back up and healed too, and really contribute into the fight.
Still kind of hurting here, realizing they are out of Cure 3 potions. Going to be solely relying on Rosa. We're going to see another unnerfed Big Bang here. Oh, never mind. I see that was the dart menu that I missed the Cure 3s on. But we saw a shake, so we're probably going to see a Big Bang here soon, and Rosa may go down if we don't get this Cure 4 off in time.
Yeah, Syl definitely deciding to not fight that any longer. Takes a quick reset. Probably better to not throw any more time into that particular fight, because like you said, getting into the menu for that Cure was a little bit late and probably weren't going to get it off in time.
We see Bacon doing a little bit different grind than Syl did. So these King Ryus are worth 30,000 apiece. If you happen to life glitch one, that's a total of 90,000 experience. Unfortunately, baconpie not having that 10th key item, not gonna get the chance for a 180,000 experience per fight grind. But this still could be a little bit faster, having that Excal Cecil doing a lot more damage than he would normally be.
Yeah, one advantage to doing the King Ryus when you are in the Lunar Subterrane is that it's actually much closer to the White Spirit Altar than the Warlock fights were for Sylverfyre. So that is one where you absolutely would see runners often come back up to finish the grind, because it's actually noticeably faster to do it that way.
Yeah, we see baconpie checking Cecil stats there, making sure you don't throw too much experience into that Cecil. You want to make sure that his agility is still at a relatively safe level. So I feel baconpie is in a little bit more comfortable situation having two white mages and two physical attackers versus two physical attackers and a solo white mage. Rydia can be used as a white mage in a pinch as long as Ashura cast gets that Cure 4 or Cure 3 face. Getting that life face, unfortunately, is not beneficial in any way to your party.
Yeah, I've definitely had a number of Zeromus fights, or just any fights at all, where I was depending on that Ashura summon. Go sideways for me a couple times, because 2/3 of the time it works great, and 1/3 of the time you're just a little bit sad. Just to answer a couple of questions in chat, Syl did indeed save after defeating Ogopogo, so that reset was absolutely fine. And then Cecil is indeed the anchor. We do have vanilla agility turned on for the entire Highway to the Threemus Zone tournament. Both the group and table flags will have that on.
So while we've got kind of a small lull going on, I do want to say thank you to the free enterprise community for all the fantastic work each and every one of you do. Thank you to Invenerable for restreaming this. Thank you to my co-commentator Antidale, and thank you to Bursic Badger for tracking this wondrous race that we're seeing right now. And thank you to RPG Limit Break for allowing us to stream to their channel.
absolutely. Thank you to RPG Limit Break, and it's just always so much fun to do these. Here we get the white cast off, bouncing off of the wall that Riddy had put up. That's going to do the damage without drawing the counter, which will help a lot in this fight.
Yeah, this fight already looking much more better than the last one. That last one having your Zerk Edge go down due to a weak cast and then immediately get big banged was kind of... It just kind of set the tone for that whole fight where it was kind of delayed. And we are getting a raid from Randomania. Thank you and welcome everybody. We have quite the race right here right now. This could be very close if things keep going certain ways.
Yeah, baconpie seems like he is still kind of hunting to find a 10th key item to help the grind a little bit. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot of reason to be taking this fight at Leviathan here at the Bahamut spot, but this is a pretty free fight.
Yeah, the magic power at the Bahamut spot is very low. Wave is only going to do I believe it's a quarter of the HP damage to you, and Leviathan only attacks with ice too. So this fight is going to be relatively short. We see Berserk being cast on Cecil. Cecil's going to make really short work of this fight, having that X-Cal and Power Robe on.
He's going to do just so much work. And meanwhile, on Sylverfyre's side, in the Zerma's fight, we did see that life 1 phase from the Sura, so Cecil is back up and on his feet, and taking some of the healing away from the Cure 4 cast of Rosa.
It's a good situation to have Cecil up right now, so Cecil can toss one of those Cure 3s on Rydia to make sure Rydia survives, or whoever gets hit with this counter nuke. Making sure that you keep your Zerk characters alive is very important to slowing Zeromus down in general. See that Cure 3 potion going off just in time. Edge more than likely going to survive this nerfed Big Bang. Rydia surviving it as well, but unfortunately going to lose life to HP ran out due to the sap effect that Big Bang puts on.
Yeah, the one time 1 HP in a dream is just not going to be good enough.
And there's a very interesting thing that can happen at the end of this fight. Since you have sap for basically the rest of this fight, if you happen to kill Zeromus and you only have one character left who has 2 HP or less, so either 2 or 1 HP, there will be one more tick after Zeromus fades away. And if you happen to lose, that does not count as a victory. You would have to undone at that point.
Yeah, I think we've had at least 1 or 2 runners have that happen in community races, but that is some rocks falling while baconpie picks up the magma key from the value cave. So Sylverfyre looks like they are home free in this. Once Meteor starts happening, you're pretty much ready to go. And that looks like that is some shakes and a crack and a boom. And dude misses down, and Sylverfyre has claimed victory.
Sylverfyre doing a fantastic job getting the Warlock grind knocked out of the way before going down and finding that 10th key item. baconpie going to be grinding relatively quick here now that they have 10 key items. You're going to see roughly 180k experience per fight here, meaning baconpie not going to be too far behind Sylverfyre here.
And that does put Sylverfyre to 2-0, so Sylverfyre is guaranteed at least the Magma group and still has a chance at going straight into the table if they do win their 3rd match.
And we are joined by Sylverfyre. GG's, Silver.
Hello, thank you.
Fantastic play. How do you feel about that seed?
I made some major mistakes, and at the same time I felt like I did okay on a lot of things, so...
What did you feel was one of your major mistakes?
Probably the earliest major mistake was during that Mad Ogre fight in Upper Babel. I should have just popped the Should have just popped the hourglass right off the bat. I was trying to be cheeky and hang on to it. But I wanted to like stop and steal some Bacchus wines in addition to getting all the XP. And like that level of greed kind of wasted a bunch of time on that fight.
Yeah, we did notice you were also getting very unlucky with the sneaks. A lot of failed attempts.
I was getting really. I failed the first 5 or 6 sneaks,
Yeah,
and then I like stole 4 in a row, and it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, and the board face AI did not help when you had that stop queued up, and the Mad Ogre just absolutely took out Rydia, preventing it from-
I should have queued that stop earlier too. Like that also would have been fine.
X.
Because like stopping the front one is the one that's doing most of the melee damage because it's in the front row.
Yeah, absolutely. What was your favorite item out of a chest that you found? Which do you feel helped you the most in this seed?
It's funny because the item that I felt helped me the most in the seed wasn't from a box.
Fair enough.
It was the mute knife from the mist shop.
That's definitely a very advantageous weapon to have, especially for the grind that you did. Those warlocks being 4 times weak to any mute type of weapon is just great for grinding.
Yeah, I mean, I had it set up where it's like, yep, one shot it, double life glitch, one shot the next one, life glitch that one too. More XP per fight than double dragons and a faster fight.
Yeah, definitely. Cheddar's saying GG as well.
Yeah, thank you, Cheddar.
Were you tempted at all to go look for a 10th key item before continuing your grind or finishing the grind out?
Oh, I absolutely was, but at the same time, like, you know, I had already, like, I didn't want to, like, first of all, I thought I was at 8 and not 9 because I didn't write down that I got the pink tail. I didn't mark it on my tracker. So, like, you know, I checked like Rydia's mom because I was like, well, okay, let's just check that one thing because it might be enough, but
this is a pretty interesting question. What do you think was at the pink tail?
I mean, knowing my luck, it was like a crystal sword.
It was an Excalibur.
Oh, okay, I'm fine with that, an Excalibur.
Okay.
I'd rather take Cecil in that particular scenario than an Excalibur.
That's fair, but yeah, we did see an Excalibur behind that pink tail. Could have been beneficial even just as a dart for edge.
Yeah, that's true. And I had sold the spoon, which I was a little sad about, but whatever.
I did notice you sold those power robes.
I did sell a power robe because I was like, getting a ninja sword is more important than getting a power robe. And part of that is because I checked the armor shop first because the dwarf was in the way of the weapon shop. Had I seen the weapon shop first, I would have just bought the ninja swords right there, and I wouldn't have bought sword robes.
Yeah.
Also, I bought 2 sword robes when I was already wearing a right robe. That's another, like, oops.
Yeah, especially in the situation that you were in, like, knowing you're in go mode, wanting to just get things done and knocked out of the way. It's just, there's so much going on that sometimes you can kind of be like, oh, well, I already forgot what I have equipped on everybody.
And then, like, I've just been, like, having really shaky hands tonight, and that was the story behind, why are you direct whiting Zeromus when you already have a Star Veil up on someone?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that and the direct lit 3 too. Was that a nerf or was that another
the direct lit 3 was actually trying to get the nerf.
That's a rough nerf to try and get with the delay on that.
I thought I had the delay counted out correctly. I did not.
Yeah, well, you're a braver runner than I am because I don't think I would have.
I mean, part of that was like maybe I should have gone with like an Ashura cast and then a virus to nerf, but I wasn't making good decisions because I was kind of tilting after that second edge wasn't even supposed to have thrown the Star Veil. It was supposed to throw Bacchus Wine. So like that whole first fight was just like a whole bunch of input errors that compounded upon one another.
Yeah,
Take
and
a deep breath after the scramble there and the reset.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, let's do it right. Second fight, everything goes according to plan. Not a single input wrong. Like, delayed that second Big Bang for a real long time. Even with my kind of mediocre DPS from the edges. I think it was good DPS, but it wasn't like, yeah, you're gonna not even see second Big Bang ever.
yeah, you definitely executed that second fight much better than that first one, and I bet nerves were even playing into that just a little bit, knowing how deep you were into the seed.
Yeah,
and your
I
opponent not
felt
being done yet.
I felt pretty good after that hook route. In general, like, it was like, okay, the only thing that really went wrong there was that I spent a little more time on that Mylon fight than I would have liked. But that's a slow fight no matter how you draw it up, because of how he counters everything with Lit 1.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I was actually kind of curious about was the demist fade intentional?
Not really, but I knew, like, I didn't really care. Like, I recognized that I was doing it, and I'm like, I don't care. I do what's required. The hook route's required because, like, it's not like a magma key at Rydia's mom would have changed what I was doing.
Exactly. And that's
Which is also why I didn't go do the Twin Harp.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking along the lines of, like, if Bacon had found Magma Key, would they go underground and just kind of skip that hook there for now,
Yeah.
and then just kind of be led off astray into?
I
like,
meant
big
to do
rat
it
open?
coming out. I meant to do it coming out of the underground before flying up to the moon, and then it's like, oh wait, I fly to the moon. It's like, wait, life potions are I have narrowed them down to being in Kaipo, and I haven't checked Rydia's mom. So that kind of explains that little 2-minute error too.
Yeah, but that worked out, and that did find you your mage kill, your mute knife, and
It did find me some
arrows,
mute knives.
so-
I was real happy about that.
But I think that's all that we have for you. Do you have anything left? Anything left you want to say about the seed?
That's pretty much all.
Well, GG's on, and congratulations on getting at least into Magma Group and still having a good shot at getting in directly into the table.
Yes, GG's. Yeah, it was very well played, and I'm excited to see more from you. We follow a baconpie making this descent. Gonna go check out what's at this White Spear altar. Gonna see that Ogo. Gonna probably make pretty short work here, and not sure if we'll see any more grinding or not. I don't believe they finished fully grinding, but sitting at 10 key items, probably a good choice if you're not comfortable to throw an extra siren or two to get like a few more levels worth of HP on your party.
Yeah, the extra HP, the extra speed on edge to make him just that little bit faster than Cecil overall. Anything you can do just to help your Zeromus fight and even the Togo Bogo fight just go that little bit smoother.
And Bacon did stock up on Bacchus wines at Tomra. I believe they only bought 10. Still gonna have quite a few left, I believe, and still having Rosa with Berserk is just gonna make things pretty easy. And that Porum as well. Yeah, completely ground all the way at level 50s. Gonna use that tent to keep the Cecil down. Gonna make a really short work of this Ogo, and then be on their way to the Zeromus fight here soon.
Level 45 is, I think it's levels 44 and 45, where Cecil has a natural 28 agility, which just based on the integer math that happens as you're determining the relative speed of everyone in the fight, will put Zeromus at relative speed or relative agility 2. We'll put Cecil at relative 5, and then everyone else kind of floats around Cecil as well. And that's the first breakpoint. It's the first agility number for your anchor, where Zeromus is at a speed of 2 rather than a speed of 1. So that's why that's a really important number to kind of remember.
Yeah, Bacon's not going to have too much to worry about with the Zeromus fight, having just everybody be pretty quick. Unfortunately, Edge going down there, but Rosa taking that Berserk, going to be putting up some damage, going to cure with Porum here. Rose is going to make really short work of this with this Artemis bow.
Taking the time to nuke.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we've been taking the time to nuke, drawing that blaze counter, which is another 20% health damage, so it's a little bit risky sometimes, but it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, and Rose is just extremely fast here with that Artemis bow. Gonna make really short work, even having that edge down. Ogo has a script where every spell that you cast will be countered with Blaze, unless it is a lightning spell. Then it will be countered with a weak spell.
Yeah, and you can really use that game knowledge to your advantage too if you have a couple of low HP people and don't want to get everyone countered with the Blaze, because that is a single target weak spell, like you mentioned. So only one person is going to hit by it, so you're not even going to lose anyone at all based directly off of that attack.
You see Bacon getting the crystal there, officially in go mode. Already ground, more than likely going to go see a save here. Just taking a peek.
Quick think about it, walking back and forth, we'll see. Yep, there's the battle speed to 3, going to make this a pretty easy Zormus fight, and then does the quick save. Talk a little bit about battle speed, Couch. What does it do for you?
So lowering battle speed is actually going to kind of slow the whole battle down in general, while giving you more time to react to what's going on. Battle speed 1 just means everybody's kind of going full bore. You need to make quick split decisions. Whereas lowering the battle speed can kind of slow down the fight, give you that time to go, okay, well, hey, this is going on. I can do this to recover, or I can just keep punching forward and get through.
What is Cheddar's preferred battle speed?
It's always 1. Cheddar always plays on battle speed 1. She makes me look like a scrub. Alright, baconpie entering this fight. I suspect that this fight will be over relatively quick, having a fully ground Cecil with an Excal and power robes. Cecil's going to be putting up some serious numbers. Edge, not quite as high as Cecil. We'll probably see a Star Bale go up on, more than likely, I would go with Porum in this situation. And we'll probably just see spells bounced off. We may even say a phase skip where you can actually kill Zeromus before he changes to phase 2.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll quite see that with the party, just because it's a little bit harder with the relative agility when a lot of your team is at higher than relative agility 1. And one thing that I have forgotten a few times, the first few times I played this flag set, is how important it is to get that early Silk Web off when you have a relative 2 agility Zeromus and most of your party is at 4 and 5, just because you don't want to give up that ground to Zeromus in terms of how many actions you get off per turn.
You'll see this Bacchus used right away by the Cecil, and more than likely a Silk Web tossed here to, first of all, slow down Zeromus, and second of all, get this nerf prepped. This very first Big Bang you can nerf as early as possible, whereas other Big Bangs you have to time it pretty specifically, and that was a fantastic target for the nuke. Just going to make very short work of this fight. Going to throw that spoon, going to do quad 9s here. This fight's going to be quick.
Yeah, I always love it when Zeromus nukes the person who works off the Star Veil. It's wonderful.
Bacon going to be Zerking Rosa. I always love the Zerk Rosa strats. It's always fantastic to see, and if they end up using a Bacchus with Edge, we'll have 3 Zerkers pretty much clogging up the queue, giving our mages a little bit more time to get some spells off and making very, very, very short work of this fight.
And you know how I said I didn't think this party had the damage output? This party doing a lot of damage really fast. The Big Bang does come out, so I think that does mean that we won't skip the phase 2 or 3. But we're still doing a lot of damage. Threemus is not long for this universe.
Yeah, we're gonna see 2,500-ish from Rosa and Edge, and Cecil's gonna be putting around 4. This is gonna be a really, really, really good fight, and it could possibly almost be over already. I haven't been keeping too much track of damage, but that looks like a phase change right there. You saw a very long delay in the turns there. Even on Battle Speed 3, that was exceptionally long delay. So we're probably in the second phase of the fight here. After Threemus loses a certain amount of HP, they will refill and change their battle script from Big Bang and black holes to nukes, black holes, and big bangs. We're not even seeing any healing over here on Bacon's side. We're just seeing pure damage, power overwhelming. Get the fight over as fast as possible, and you don't even need to worry about that second Big Bang.
Yeah, you love to see these really aggressive hybrid strats when you level up high enough to do them. They just make it go so fast.
It looks like we might already even be in Medio phase. That was quite a delay there. Expect this fight to be over pretty soon. And there it is, the rocks. 1 or 2 more swings here, and the fight's going to be pretty much over.
Rocks mean there's no more than 12,000 HP left, so now we're already down to no more than 5,000 left with the 7 that those two just did, and that is a crack and a boom, and 1 dead dudeness.
Yeah, huge GG's to Bacon. I feel still played exceptionally well, just kind of went a little bit over the place with the routing, whereas Silver was a little bit more streamlined routing-wise.
Could just be Still's a very experienced runner at this game, and baconpie has been playing for a little bit, but doesn't quite have the tournament experience that Sylverfyre does. So it just could be some nerves or just some not being on the stage like this. But we'll see if we can get baconpie in for an interview.
And I like the final list of names: like, start, about, tell, and before. And looks like we are joined by baconpie. GG's, Bacon.
baconpie, if you can't hear us, we can't quite hear you yet, you might have a hardware mute on or something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. GG's.
Thank you, thank you.
So, take us through your feelings of the seed.
Well, I should have known from the start with Inven rolling the seed that music was a dead end. Sorry, chat.
It was very good music, though.
Yeah, it was pretty groovy. Then I sort of forgot to grab my crystal, and I headed back down to Earth. That was a bit of a silly move by me. And I ran out of life potions, and I forgot where life potions were, but it turns out I didn't need them in the end. I was a little bit worried about going into the Z fight at low levels. I'm not used to fighting Z at that low levels. I'm just not comfortable with it, but I was cranking out like pretty good damage, so it turned out all right, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
I think a really comfortable Z fight.
Yeah, it seemed to me like at least you felt pretty comfortable with that. because you made really short work and you executed it quite well.
I mean, once I saw Porum doing like 8K with the reflected whites, I immediately thought, okay, this is not going to be a problem like I thought it would be. He's not going to get any other big bangs. But yeah, I mean, this was a interesting seed. It was pretty jetty, especially compared to some other seeds I've run with this flag set. Like, I had go mode, what, an hour? Something like that?
That's more on there.
Pretty much go mode the moment we got underground.
Yeah, and then I was debating whether to go for the 10 key items and then grind, or just grind right away. Like, I could have just stayed on Earth and scrambled some eggs. That would have worked. But I thought I could grab some key items really quick from Dorf Castle, because that's like 2 key items there, except this time it was 0 key items there.
Yeah, ended up being a little bit of a dead end there, not getting you what you were looking for, but still some pretty solid gear there.
Yeah. The what was it? It was a white robe, I think I got. It was yeah, that was not too. I wasn't too upset about that. And at that point, though, once I'd done that, I'm like, well, I already sunk time into that dead end. I might as well just try to get this 10th key item, just to make my grind, twice as fast. Because I think that would be the only thing I could do at this point, especially after music. I was already feeling behind, because I'm like, most of the good runners don't do music. I was just going for memes.
There's nothing wrong with doing that every once in a while.
Anytime music pays out, it feels real good, because many people aren't doing it.
Yeah. I'm overall I'm pretty satisfied with this run. I was only short by like 19 minutes or so, and my last 2 races in this group, when I go back and look at them and I think, oh, what did I do wrong compared to my opponent? The answer was like everything. It was just a disaster the whole way through. But this one, I could find moments where, oh, I could save time here, and I can easily find, the 19 minutes to make up. So I thought this was by far the closest one, my closest match of the group.
Yeah, when you were looking for a 10th key item, did you give any thought at all to just checking to see what was at the White Spear altar, since the crystal would give you a 10th?
I did think about that, but I didn't want to go all the way down there and run into a situation where, like, I check White Spear and it's like, it turned out to be Ogopogo. So if I checked it like immediately, I'd be like, well, I'm definitely not gonna be able to do that for a while.
Yeah, that's exactly why I didn't do that. That's exactly why I didn't do that either, because hard boss at White Spear spot is hard.
Yeah. So I didn't want to. My thought was, if there was a hard boss there, and then I would maybe start checking other places, and if all the other moon bosses in the lunar subterrane were also difficult, I'd probably end up bashing my head against the wall trying to fight one of them, because that's typically what I do in those situations. Whereas if I just go to Bahamut, even if Bahamut turned out to be a rude boss, I could just do my grind and leave and not feel too bad about it. So I guess that was my thought process there.
What do you feel was your best play on this run? The one that you made above all the rest that you feel really kind of helped you move along?
Oh, jeez. I mean, in a way, in the beginning, when I got the Artemis bow from the Ebland cave chest real early, at first when I was doing it, I'm like, this is dumb. Why am I doing this? I could just come back later and do this fight in like 5 seconds. But when I got the Artemis bow, that Rosa with the Artemis bow was doing work in the beginning. So I think over the course of the seed, that might have been a play that ultimately saved me more time than it cost me.
Nice.
Awesome. I like that answer.
I skipped that chest. I just like, oh, monster in the box on the first chest. Reset. Skip it.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing that too. But then like I actually did. I reset out and then but I kept going I wanted to just peek the hook character, because this was like the very beginning. I was just looking at all the characters before I decide who to pick up. And while I was going down there, I also found an hourglass down there. I was like, oh, so now I can actually do this fight. And then for a while I was thinking whether to use it at that chest or maybe try to use it in Mad Ogres. But then I saw Cecil was the hook character, and like, I don't really want a Cecil right now because this is like the very beginning, and I don't know if that's gonna be worth it. So I just used it on the Stone Man chest.
Fair
It worked
enough.
out for you with that. Like you said, that Rosa was doing a lot of work. She was very impressive. It was fun to see, like, what was it, 2800 versus that Pale Dim.
Oh yeah, she wrecked that Pale Dim. It was like double moon bosses at Baron Inn. I was really scared when the second one was that Wyvern. But luckily Edge was my anchor, and he was just like super speedy compared to the Wyvern in that spot.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
spot's
a really
not
slow
super
spot.
fast, so
Yeah, you both did a great job. It's always fun to see runners go 2-0 against Wyvern.
Yeah, I was definitely panicking for a second there, but it worked out.
Well, do you have anything else you want to say about the race, or just in general, Bacon?
Yeah. So this was pretty good for me. Like I had 3 objectives going into this tonight. Like objective 1 was have fun, and that was, mission accomplished there. Objective 2 was do better than I did in my Restream race yesterday. I don't know if anybody tuned into that, but that was a pretty bad, bit of a dumpster fire, I guess. It was by far the worst I've ever done in one of these seeds, and I wanted to sort of redeem myself, and I think I did pretty good this time around. I think I definitely accomplished that goal. And then the third one, my third goal objective for tonight was this is my 4th time ever being restreamed for any free enterprise thing, and the first 3 times I took so long to finish that I never got to get an interview. They would just have to, raid me and end the stream. So my goal tonight was I didn't care about winning. I just wanted to finish fast enough to get an interview, and I got that. So I accomplished everything I set out to do tonight. I knew I was going to lose. I was up against Sylverfyre, and they're amazing.
It's a fantastic attitude to have. I love seeing newer players come in and just seeing how much they improve over just such a short period of time. And you both played fantastic this evening. Put on a great show. GG's to both of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun to watch, and hopefully we'll get to see you at least once more in the hook round, and hopefully we can get you to see a win.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
But with that, I'm going to let Antidale close out this evening since I opened it up, but I just want to give a huge shout out to the free enterprise community and RPG Limit Break. But Antidale, go ahead and close it up.
Again, thank you, Cash, for being my co-commentator. As always, it's fun, and GG's both the Sylverfyre and baconpie putting on a great show, and Bursting Badger doing a wonderful job making all the things light up, and Invulnerable for rolling us the seed and putting on the restream. And like you said, thanks to RPG Limit Break for letting us have this on their channel. And I believe we'll be rating someone fairly shortly. Let me find out who that was again.
We'll be reading Zoe Vermillion.
Absolutely. Zoe Vermillion, who is a member of the community, has done some restreaming and is in the tournament as well. And I believe Zoe might be doing a little bit of practice. So thank you all for sharing this night with us, and hope you have a great evening.